We'll just go ahead and get started. So right now, welcome to Crush the Chaos. This is the November edition of Crush the Chaos. And what we do on here is go through basic, talk about automations, AI, how that deals in our specific lines of business. And then obviously each one of the panelists will talk about a little bit on what they do and their mode of expertise. My name is Phillip Brown. I'm the host, and I am a systems and automation specialist. My background is software engineering. I've owned a consulting company for the past 15 plus years. Um, I am in the process of writing a book called Go CEO. Haven't quite finished it yet, but hopefully by the end of the year. And of course, I run the Crush the Chaos event and help leaders escape the weeds and build businesses that run on autopilot. So I've been working for 25 years in the corporate space, helping big companies like NASA, Harley Davidson, Baker Hughes automate their project management. And now I'm giving back to the smaller and medium-sized businesses, helping them escape to the chaos of project management and all that operations is before they grow big. We have our panelists here. We have, in no specific order, even though it did end up being in alphabetical order somehow, Ali Beckman, Daryl Stern, and Raoul West. Ali is the founder of Liberated Financial. Daryl is the founder and owner of Stern Marketing Academy. And Raoul is the amazing Living the Dream owner. We have up first is Ali. If you would like to give us a brief overview and kind of go into what you're best at, we can start with you.
Sure. Thank you for having me. Yeah, I'm the founder of Liberated Financial. It is an independent financial advisory firm based out of Denver, Colorado, serving clients nationwide. And I have a really different background. I spent 15 years as a professional performer, actor, singer, dancer, and director in the performing arts live theater space, and then did about half of my career working in the social justice teaching artistry space. I'm a big believer in the healing power of creativity and the ability of the arts to instigate positive social change. I also spent 6 years as a yoga and meditation instructor, and I've spent about 10 years as a facilitator in trauma-informed care. I've spent my entire career across the industries exploring human behavior and behavioral coaching. And so as a financial advisor with a background in social justice and behavioral social emotional work, I see a lot of opportunities to do things differently in the financial advising space in a way that truly creates a holistic process, a process that dives deep into the data and the numbers and thorough analysis while also making space for the emotional side of money. For the consumer, money is more emotional than not. And so, my practice aims to create a safe space for clients to bring their full experience to the table so that everything is able to inform our choices. Numbers matter, but so do your values. So do your emotions. Your emotions drive your behavior, and your behavior ultimately drives your results. So my firm integrates all of that into one very unique, very comprehensive, holistic practice.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. And next we have Daryl.
So you're gonna love this, Ali. So I just got back from Denver. I just shot 198 videos of my best client ever. He's an auto mechanic up there at a place called Saul's Auto Tech in Centennial. So I too grew up in acting and theater and directing. I'm the voice of Scooter Computer on Schoolhouse Rock, which was a cartoon series in the 70s and 80s. So my voice is on Disney Plus right now, introducing kids to computers. So all those notifications on your phone are my fault. I'm sorry. I met Steven Spielberg, auditioned for the Goonies, all kinds of adventures. By high school, I won the National Young Playwrights Festival. Then I did stand-up comedy in the 90s. And then I got a floppy disk that said HTML and dropped all that to adult. and start constructing websites. So that started in 2003. Fast forward, regular people are making videos and they're not actors. So by accident, all my theater stuff started to come back into my business, and I started to accidentally start teaching business people acting. That led to me in 2016 meeting an auto mechanic named Saul Reisman. He said to me, I want to be the #1 auto mechanic in the state of Colorado. My dad was a philosophy professor, so I grew up going to his philosophy class when I was 3, 4, 5 years old, learning about Socrates and reverse engineering and cognitive thinking. So I decided, since Google owns YouTube, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go down to a shop. I'm going to video him fixing the cars, and I'm going to make him a blog and a vlog. Now, if you know the history of the internet, before the videos came along, there were articles, and people would write blogs, and they would get viral for their blogs and get all the website traffic. So we made about 250 videos that I could transcribe and made into articles and videos. But then I realized something else that I had to do, which is that if you, Allie, wrote the book, right? I'm going from theater into finance and dancing, you know, and yoga and all this. You wrote the book on it, right? How to be a creative soul, right? And we flip to the back of your book. In the back of your book are all these words in it. That's in the index, right? And it shows how many times are in you say each word. Well, Google indexes all the websites, and YouTube indexes all the videos. So I said, well, then all we've got to do to make you an influencer is to demonstrate your expertise and build an index of everything that you know. So I started interlinking everything, single word that he said to other times that he said that word in his blog and his vlog. So he rose from $50,000 a month all the way up to $600,000 a month in 4 years. He ranks number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for fixing a Rolls Royce in Greenwood Village, Colorado. In other words, I staple gun term to the top of Google search, and Bentleys. And then we did something called research, which is weird because I don't think anybody's really doing this in their marketing. They hire a marketing person, they go, oh, that looks good, that's marketing, I guess. And they start putting stuff out, posting on social media. So with the research, I drove around Denver and I noticed that a lot of people drive Jeeps. Jeep has an engineering flaw called the death wobble, which the Jeep owners told me. So if you go look that up on YouTube, there's videos with 700,000 views, 500,000 views, 2.7 million views. That means the problem is viral, which I would, ask you, what viral problem do you solve? Not you trying to be creative and trying to go viral, but what viral problem solutions they already have. So we made in one video, we can fix the Jeep death wobble in Greenwood Village, Colorado, and with a lifetime guarantee. And that video shot up to 200,000 views, and he made $7.9 million in Jeep repairs. So what I say is, you are a gift to the world, and the world needs your gifts. What you can teach, know, and demonstrate that you might take for granted, other people are absolutely amazed by. So in Storming, I took my joy of writing plays and writing screenplays and turned it into your marketing, meaning that we go backwards through your life and you tell me your whole life story, and I'm listening like I'm Steven Spielberg. Then we're going to go into the things that you know, and you're going to keep going, and I'm going to keep asking questions until we got a list of like 700, 800 things. Then I'm going to film them all. We're going to put them all over the internet, and we're going to do this thing called local SEO, so that you never have to place a single Meta ad or Google ad or any of this other stuff again. And the funny thing is, he just called me to do more videos 5 years after we paused working together, and I was just there, and I said, have there been any more Jeep death wobbles? And he says, no, I think we fixed them all. That's that. So I'll hand it back to you guys. Super fun, and I'm proud to be here. Crush the chaos. You are the solution, so what's the problem?
Nice. Thank you, Daryl. Ral, you are up next.
Well, hello, everyone. I'm in Sitka, Alaska, which makes me unique just in that way. I've been a serial entrepreneur for almost 45 years. I started really, really young. And I had a business in Anchorage, Alaska, that I started with my husband. And we ran it for 25 years and sold it to Alaska Airlines. And the neat thing about that business is that we learned in the process of building that business how to work ourselves out of being the mom and pop running the day-to-day operations of the business. And we learned how to hand everything over to an amazing team. We built a culture and built a team that could operate without us, with the foundation that we had created. So we were able to go off and live our dream while we still had the business before it was acquired by Alaska Airlines. And we've gone on to have several other businesses, including buying and leasing small cruise ships, multifamily real estate, etc. And now, in this phase of my life, I'm devoted to teaching entrepreneurs how to transform their lives so that they can stop sacrificing their life to their business and be able to live their dream. So I work with them to teach them how to become the owner rather than the operator of their business. And I use the 6 principles that we used in our own business to get ourselves out of the day-to-day. And with those 6 principles, they can find freedom, do the things that they enjoy. For us, that means like traveling and going out on our yacht. And that's what it's all about. I'm just about to launch a mastermind called Boss Business Owner Success Strategies, and looking for people to join me.
Awesome. Thank you, Ral. All right, we will continue on. So I know Daryl started a little bit on this, but what I want to do is kind of talk between the four of us about how you're using automation to kind of complement what you do in your business or what your clients do in their business, and if that's affecting positively or negatively with your clients. So, who would like to start first?
I'll
Well, I
talk.
could, go ahead.
Oh,
Whoever, yeah.
okay. Automation has been a big focus of mine this year and will be the main focus of my next year, and where I'll be putting most of my investments back into my business. And the first place I really started to apply automations is in the way that I integrate coaching into my financial planning business. Again, behavioral management is everything. We know that behavioral management is where a financial advisor can provide the most return and optimization. And so I have a very high touch integrated process with my clients. We have 4 touch points per year. 2 of those meetings are big review progress meetings. And after those big 6-month progress meetings, I'm giving them action items, a prioritized list of, a handful of things like, this is what I want you to focus on. Here's your homework for the next 6 months. And I was really struggling. Again, as a financial advisor, I have to track everything that I write. Every piece of communication must be archived, no matter who it's going to, where it is. I mean, right, my regulations are pretty intense. So I was struggling with duplicating my notes on action items. I was also struggling with a streamlined system for updating those action items when there was progress, when there was notes from the client, when there were updates. It was multiple notes in multiple places, and it just felt really cumbersome. And it was hard to stay on track with reminding the clients, hey, it's been 3 weeks. How's your progress? So I wanted a more automated system to really support that behavioral management and coaching, like the accountability piece that I offer, but free up time. So I was able to build a custom client portal where I upload all of their action items. We can communicate in the portal, but I've also been able to then archive all of that communication through my email. So I'm still capturing all those notes compliantly, but it gives a one-stop shop for those action items. And then I was able to create the system so that it sends automatic reminders on a schedule that I choose. I can assign due dates, I can set the schedule for reminders. And then just this past the past fall season that I just finished, I started using the portal for requests as well. So here's the documents that I need from you in order to update your plan. Here's your due date. There's reminders going out, 3 weeks, 1 week ahead of time. Here, due tomorrow. And there's definitely still some room to refine. And, my main goal with the portal is to reduce friction for the client. People love to avoid doing stuff with their money. So my goal is to make it as easy as possible to implement. And so the portal, it's not exactly where I want it to be, but it has made a huge difference both in my time management and the consistency of that accountability for the clients. I've gotten some really good feedback on it so far.
That's great. Have any of your clients asked you like how to implement that within their business or in their life, or just kind of you used it to as a tool for yourself and help manage what you do for them.
The latter. Yeah. No one's asked me kind of like, I want the, like, how did you do this? I want this for my business. I work with mostly business owners, but not all. Mostly, and some of it too was a process of, there was a fair amount of clients who were working with me before the portal was implemented. So then it's also the behavioral management of here's a new thing, like let's all get on board.
Right.
But I think we're there, and the more confident I am in the portal, then the more I can like offer teaching. So yeah, no one has asked me to like teach it to them, but positive responses so far on like I like the reminders, yeah, so positive feedback.
That's great. That's great. Um, Daryl, how about you?
Well, first off, Allie, we do need to make you a course on that because that was absolutely incredible. Like you said, like I'm sure other people in the same business line would like that. So going back in the history banks, right? The first kind of automation that really wasn't automation was your email newsletter. You had to set up manually every week, and send it out. Then somebody got the idea that we could set it up and make something that was automated where I could set up a series of 6 emails, right? And then send them out over 6 weeks, and all they would have to do is sign up and do that. Then it got more complicated and more advanced where there are different types of triggers. A trigger can be I like a Facebook post, or I follow you on Instagram, or I do some other action, your potential customer, and that will trigger something that makes the machine or the computer program take an action. The big thing right now that the kids are doing is on Instagram with an app called ManyChat. And what that app does, and what they've just added onto it, is it will actually send an auto DM. If you guys don't know what that is, it's just a messenger, the messenger inside of Instagram. It's called the direct message. The second that someone follows you. So instead of having you go in and having to manually say hello to the person, or send them your ebook with a link to your course or a link to schedule with you, or whatever the case may be, it will now do that automatically. You can actually then set that up in actually a which way book. So they did this for Halloween, where they did something fun where they said you walk into the spooky house and there's a candle or a painting. Which one do you walk towards, 1 or 2? And when you put 1 or 2, it literally kept telling you this haunted mansion, kind of story. So we're getting much more sophisticated with that. And now, of course, we have AI that can answer your phone, right? Take down the number, you can tell it when you want to have a meeting with someone, and they'll put it on your calendar. So automation is taken by leaps and bounds. But the most important thing about it is that client that you called that you didn't get, and you call them 3 months later and they said, oh, they went with someone else. That's where marketing automation on my end of the spectrum, comes in most. If you can tell someone, well, hey, look, I've got some helpful files, I've got some helpful things that'll show up in your inbox every so often, let me sign you up. You can then send them reminders to keep top of mind awareness, which is the ultimate thing, in marketing and selling over the long range. And the way I do it is I shoot 200 videos so we can put them out and set that up right away to go out 200 weeks. So in other words, the second someone signs up for a course or a newsletter or something like that, they'll actually get a video from you telling a story for 1.5 years. So those maybes and those, oh, I can't afford this right now, call me back in 3 months or 2 months or next week, they're going to be constantly nurtured towards purchasing something later. It's fascinating.
That's awesome.
Great.
It's cool. Yeah, I've definitely heard of ManyChat, and there's a couple other things out there that do the same kind of, grab the information. If you, comment, report or something like that, it'll send you into a ManyChat funnel that'll give you whatever report you've asked for, and then they get you into a funnel from there to do
Yeah,
the
100%. The
thing. Yeah.
ultimate thing now is something called TikTok Shop. Okay, where you have your
Yeah.
credit card, your shipping information in there, and an influencer is standing there talking in a sweater, and the link to the sweater is down there, and all you do is click, bang, 2 clicks, 2 seconds, and it's shipping it to you, right? So the future of retail stores is going to be, it's just going to be a green screen. Literally, they rent the store, but there's no stock. Nobody comes in the store. They're just live streaming and having people go click, click, and that's it. So everything like that is getting faster and more convenient, and automation is a big part of it. And then AI on top of that.
Yeah, it's taken the I like to call TikTok Shop the HSN for the influencers, right? So
That's what we're doing.
we've had HSN for years on regular television, and now we just have it on our social media with TikTok Shop, and
Yeah.
I'm sure soon, Instagram will follow with something
Yeah,
along
it was
with text and everything.
it was the guy from Fox from Fox, the broadcasting channel that went and created QVC, and they thought it was nuts. People watching
Yeah.
TV to shop? What are you talking about? $1 billion industry. So we'll see what comes next.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Satisfied all those late night purchasers. How about you, Ral? Have you used any automations yet, or are you kind of
Oh no, yes, quite a few. And you can teach old dogs new tricks. So yeah, I'm even using AI. But we use it a lot for content creation, as well as the things that Allie and Daryl were talking about. We have uploaded all the contents of the 8-module online course that I created. So, ChatGPT knows all of my content. So when we're creating articles, newsletters, etc., we just ask Chat to pull this information out of Ral's intellectual property and help us pull together the items that refer to this particular topic. And then it does a draft for us, and then of course I edit and make it my own words. But it saves so much time. As any writer knows, staring at that blank page is the intimidating part. So when you can use Chat or any other AI tool to help you put something on that blank page so that you can go from there, it's a huge time saver. And then we're using scheduling tools. We're using automated email sequences for our marketing. And gosh, yes, CRMs. You have to have a CRM. And just, bookkeeping. I tell all my clients, for goodness sakes, have an automated bookkeeping system and get all of your bills set up on auto pay, auto invoicing, all this stuff. And the more you can automate, the better. That's some of the principles that I teach are using leverage, which is using technology and AI to do things for you faster, and also creating systems. Automation can help you develop the systems that can make your work so much easier. There's so many repetitive tasks that you can just use a technology to do those repetitive tasks for you. And I'm using AI in my inbox too. There's an app that sorts my emails into the categories that I determine what goes into which category. And it has saved me hours every week of just plowing through, hundreds of emails. And when I can see them all in one grouping, I can say, yep, okay, yeah, I can do this with all of them. And then it's just a minute here or there. Just amazing ways that technology, AI, all of that can be used for any business. So I'm promoting the idea of simplifying, automating, and using AI to all of my clients.
Yeah, I like I haven't quite got grasp on the email part of it yet because I can't get it to behave just like I want it to yet. But the meeting aspect of my daily work has definitely been greatly improved because now I can have it take notes for me,
Yeah.
and then afterwards I can assess like what out of those notes are really important points that I need to pay attention to, what do I need to do when I need to finish it, and things like that, which are definitely big steps
Right.
from just a year or two ago when you had to. I mean, yes, it's an art to take notes yourself, but for me, I'd much rather listen intently and not worry about writing down every single action item and every single important piece of information.
Yeah.
So
Right.
hopefully some of the larger corporations will come around to accepting that kind of note taker philosophy within their teams and um, other kind of
Well,
messaging systems.
there's a system that you can set up, which I've done with the notes. And that is that I upload those notes into an app. I use Notion, and then I communicate with my executive assistant, say, okay, here are the follow-up steps. And, so that I don't have to do as much work to follow up on every call that I have, because I'm having lots of calls every day, like everybody else. And keeping track of all those leads is, cumbersome. So using those notes, send it off to the EA. These are the follow-up steps. Do this, this, and this, and this. We've got a format set up so that I can just tick off which follow-up steps are needed, and that saves a tremendous amount of time.
Yeah, definitely saves a lot of time. One question, I mean, we've talked about a lot of the automations with regards to like content and organization and processes. Have any of you actually worked with, played with, or put in place any of the like video type aspects? Daryl, I know you talked about making 200 videos. Have you played with anything like Sora 2 or VO3 or any of those to actually create maybe your own avatar or a commercial um, from like prompting?
Well, I did a campaign called Sales Monster. So here's a funny thing in marketing. So I help them tell their better stories. Now all of a sudden they're getting 60 likes and 60 comments on their post. And I come back the next week and I go, how many did you sell? And they look at me and go, like, what do you mean? And they can't figure out or look at that, all the comments and things, and sell them, get them off the internet. So I always tell people, get them off the internet as fast as you can, get them on a Zoom, right? Where you can actually talk to them and all that kind of stuff. So, I made a course called Sales Monster, which is 15 of the closes that I've used on Zoom over the past 15 years to have meetings and close sales. So I made AI make the picture of the monster, and I have a friend that does the animations and stuff. And he sent me back a video. I gave him the script, and the monster talks, right? And then I went over to Sora 2, which you have to have a code to get into and all this. And sure enough, I type in, tell the monster to do this. So I said, make it reels of this monster selling my class for Halloween. It's wild. It's really fun. And then the latest is cameos. If you have an iPhone, you can do this, where it'll record your face and your voice and all that, and you can make a video, say, I'm winning the Academy Award for best automation, right? Or whatever it is, right? And it'll make a video and you're on stage at the Oscars making the automation. Shaq is on it. If guys know Shaq, the basketball guy, he's making hysterical, funny things on it that'll just like crack you up. At this point, it's fun, and of course, Instagram being a fun, funny, grab attention, get a lot of traffic. There's a hysterical one with Jamaican monkeys, whatever. But I haven't seen anyone do so much, practically with it. But I was having a conversation with someone in LinkedIn, and I said, yeah, I've just made 178 videos, and he said, oh, AI can do that now. I'm like, well, no, AI can't run around this guy's garage and be him the way he talks and he does these videos with no script. So I think there's an over assumption now that, just have the AI do it, which is a threat then to, or not a threat. It feels uncomfortable because then it goes into, well, you don't have to charge us that much money anymore. Just get the AI to do it. And I go, we're human beings and artists and creatives. It speeds up tasks, like we've been talking about automation. It can check your email, summarize your this and that. But we'll see where it goes. I'm waiting for the first Hollywood movie that has no real actors in it. It's all AI. There's no,
Yeah, it's gonna be like a mix between animation and AI. I did see
we
there's
can
like a
make,
Liquid Death commercial out there. The water, Liquid Death, they created a commercial strictly from AI.
yeah.
I don't know if it's still airing, but I know I saw it during I think one of the football games had a commercial with it. Um, but yeah,
Yeah,
it's
so everything that used to be out of reach, that used to cost millions of dollars, like a special effects, whatever, studio. When they did Finding Nemo, it took days to render one frame of the movie.
yeah.
Days. And now you can type in a command and it animates a monster, it makes a dinosaur eat your lunch or whatever. It's fascinating. I mean, it's fun.
Oh, yeah. And I don't think you as a filmmaker, and I think Ali, you said something about being in shows as well, right? So you guys know that a film is just a stitch of a bunch of scenes, right? And you can break a scene into, everybody's talking about, oh, you can only do 8 seconds, an 8 second video.
Right. You
Well,
would do it 8 seconds.
you do a bunch of 8 second scenes, you can create a full length, movie without a problem because if you pay attention to the show you watch on Netflix or whatever, your daily, weekly show is, they're only showing you so many seconds at a time before it switches scenes to something else, right? So I think it's going to be quite interesting over the next year what we do with the video portion, especially seeing how fast the textual,
Yeah.
like asking ChatGPT questions and actually getting it to write you different, content pieces or even try to write books or anything like that. So,
Yeah, I'll let other people chime in, but you can write a song and have Adele sing it. So if it
yeah,
goes it goes viral and makes $1 million, who gets the money? I'm waiting for the lawsuits. Sorry, but you know what I mean.
Oh,
Like,
they'll,
this is gonna be weird. Or people are saying, well,
sure they're out there.
ChatGPT told me to do it, and I'm waiting for the lawsuit, but then that doesn't go well, and they sue it because people are starting to think that this thing gives them the truth.
Well,
I think the way that
That's-
they're approaching, go ahead, Allie, sorry.
Well, I was just going to say the thing that comes up for me most, and which in response to what Daryl was just saying, I was having this conversation with friends just, anecdotally the other night around AI videos and the what we were saying uncanny realities and the inaccuracies. I think I've been noticing more inaccuracies in my ChatGPT use lately. And I work I'm in a factual, highly regulated industry. There are times where like things need to be factual. I was having this conversation with a couple attorneys today as well on just the pitfalls people don't think about when AI changes a word. And it's like in law, you can't really do that. You can't change a word because then it changes the meaning and that changes everything. And so I think when it comes to videos, and I guess the content in general, I think I'm curious to watch how or if our discernment continues to evolve with how are we discerning the content AI is producing? How are we discerning if it's factual? I think right now I can usually tell when it's an AI voice, when it's an AI actor, when it's an AI movie. There's still subtle hints that tell you it's moving so fast. It'll be interesting to see where that goes. But right now, I'm very aware that my ChatGPT is just wrong a lot of the times, whether it's written content or video content. And I'm curious. I wonder, like, how many other people even notice it, and just what that means. What's the larger implication of this?
I think the
Yeah.
larger implication is that there's a lack of trust. Is if you go on Facebook or Instagram or whatever, and you're looking at some of these reels. I mean, I just saw one where it had, King Charles, Prince William, and Prince Harry all doing this little dance together. And I'm like, oh no, that wasn't that, that's not them. And so what can you trust? And as AI gets better and better, and as you said, that discernment gets harder and harder to tell, okay, is this real or is this AI? I mean, we as consumers are going to have a really hard time knowing what to trust and what not to trust, because people are making things up on the internet all the time. They're making up crazy stories about people. And how do you do the fact checking? Who is it that's doing the fact checking? And if you can't trust AI because sometimes they're wrong, who do you trust?
Yeah.
And so I think the issue of trust in our society is going to become huge.
Yeah, I think it's going to go back to, I mean, we've spent so many years on, I say so many years, it's really not a whole bunch of years on social media, but people tend to think everything on social media is real because it's a real person talking about real things, doing real stuff. Well, that never was true because you just show a snippet of your life and it could be totally trashed for the other 90% of your day, but that 10% of your day is what you put on social media to show this perfection, right?
Yeah,
I think what we're going to do in the future with video and AI video is we're going to numb ourselves. So it's going to become a true entertainment factor. Social media is just going to be entertainment, just like television is. And then if you want to know the real deal, you'll meet in real life. And so many people are trying to go back to the IRL, in real life activities. A lot of the kids today, in high school and in college want to meet in real life instead of meeting in their video game or on social media.
It's always that pendulum, wherever we go, eventually we're going to go in the opposite direction. And that it just keeps happening, so.
And
yeah. I mean, you could say the same thing about movie stars.
Yeah.
That the actor, that's not his real life. So we know that. I mean, we know this. This is the other thing that I think we're not giving ourselves enough credit for, is we know we have cognitive dissonance. Now, George Chanos, the ex-attorney general of Nevada, wrote a book called The Millennial Samurai, and it's about having cognitive dissonance. In other words, you can see it, you can see it, but respond to it, don't react to it. And we're in a problem right now where everybody's reacting and putting the comments in right away. And anonymously, you can with this instead of slowing down and and debate and having a family dinner, where everybody just sits and talks for 2.5 hours, rather than just going click click. So, but I think we're smarter than we're giving ourselves credit for in terms of that.
Can you imagine if your episode of, like, I don't know, Housewives or NCIS or something, can you imagine if there was comments at the bottom of those on TV and people going, "Oh my God, this is not real. They don't do that in real life." Well, that's social media right now.
Yeah.
You see AI stuff. Oh, this isn't a real this isn't a real person. Well, it's the same thing over and over. So
And
I
we're
wonder what this trend will do to social media. I use LinkedIn for my business, but I haven't used social media in 5 years. Haven't used Facebook in probably 15. And I hear more and more people, millennials, Zs, kind of moving away from social media. And so I wonder, what is going to happen to the placeholder that social media is right now in 10, 15 years, as the pendulum swings and we crave as humans connection. And we're like, I need to get off the screen for my health and my well-being and my sense of life. I need to go meet people in real life. I'm just curious. I have no idea. It's fascinating to observe.
yeah.
And then there's the issue of journalism. What is journalism these days? And what sources do we look to for actual truth? Because I don't think that there's a media source out there that I could say right now I trust 100% to give me what's really going on. So
Yeah.
what are we going to do in the future about that?
We're gonna have to talk to each other.
Well, there's an interesting clip about opinion, and they're asking the senator, "What is your opinion?" Someone's opinion about what's going to happen in the future is not journalism.
No.
But now that's what they're asking them because two things that ruined it is reality shows in the 90s and America's Funniest Home Videos. That's what changed. America's Funniest Home Videos is TikTok, right? And it's all came before this, right? Where where they realized that people would get hooked on this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then they developed these things, and then here we are observing it and all that kind of stuff.
What's even worse is the journalists themselves are just giving their own opinions.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's not news.
Yeah, on the flip
It's
side,
no longer unbiased reporting, right? There's always a bias. It just is like, which way is the bias leaning, and do you lean that way too or not?
And
And what are you doing to mitigate your bias and acknowledge it?
Yeah, but if you're only listening to the journalists that believe the way you believe, you're never going to see the other
You're
side.
missing out on a whole nother part, right?
Yeah. And so we just live in our own little myopic world.
Yeah. With the algorithms then supporting it.
Yeah, exactly.
On the flip side,
Supporting whatever you're looking at, right?
Yeah.
And then there's a flip side, more positive side that said without it, we wouldn't have known what happened to George Floyd, right? We wouldn't have known the revolutions, what's really going on inside of it. Now it's anybody has a phone, so we can see the truth. People can show you what's going on like in real time, and everybody's a journalist. Right. So on the flip side, we can have more transparent society. I'm just being you flip it over and say what's true on this side too.
As long as they're not
things that would have been hidden under the rug, like a lot of things that went on, where they just sweep it under the rug are now coming out, we can see it.
And as long as they're not using AI to edit that video, and it's actually true non-edited video.
Well, they don't use AI to edit. Hopefully they don't edit it at all. That's the point.
Yes.
Yeah. Hard to know.
Yeah, I think, and we're still really like in the toddler phase of all of this because, it used to be that we didn't know news except from our local station, right?
Or the newspaper.
There was before cell phones and internet, we were just boxed into our surrounding area unless we were a traveler and we went to different cities all the time. Most people didn't know what was going on outside of a certain, 100-mile radius. Now we know what's going on all over the world. We've kind of gone from not knowing a lot to knowing way too much more than we can handle, and we're still trying to regulate, like, okay, how do we just see what's really relevant to us, and now out of what we think is relevant to us, how do we know what of that is actually real and what's not? There's a lot of information out there on YouTube, a lot of information out there on, the other social media channels and different articles on different platforms that you can look at, and you really have to look at different sources. Pick your sources and then determine what the truth is for you, and then talk to people.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny. Everything eventually cycles back to communicating with each other.
Yeah. Yeah.
Otherwise, we'll just sit there and we'll watch something on TV or on social media and go, "Oh, is that true?
Yeah.
I don't know. Who can I
I
ask?"
I
I
had
don't know.
a fun story from last night. So a friend of mine who I've known since I was 4, we grew up a couple blocks from each other. Our parents still live a couple blocks from each other. Went, K through 12 together. Didn't really stay in touch, but then when I moved to Colorado about 10 years ago, he was out here, we reconnected, and we continue to kind of find ourselves in the same circles. So we were both at an event last night and chatting, and he told me that he's going through a training right now with maybe 10 other people on how to be, I can't remember, but like something along the lines of a neighborhood steward, and how to bring their neighborhoods together, how to define neighborhood, number one,
Hmm.
but then also how to be a leader in your local community, and create and facilitate a space where you can get to know your neighbors. I know I find my generation reflecting on how oftentimes like we don't know our neighbors, and I've felt that in my life. I've moved around so much, and now I live in a community um, where I do feel more connected to my neighbors more than ever. But um, it's just really interesting. And I think that, again, it's like we're cycling back. It's like, yeah, let's get to
Yeah,
know who lives next to me right now and what do we care
we
about. And,
are.
our local communities, like, again, right, we used to only be aware of our local communities. Now we're so aware of the world, we're probably not paying a ton of attention to what's going on immediately around us. And so it's interesting to watch it shift back where, I mean, oftentimes I mean, talk about crushing the chaos. Zoom in sometimes,
Yeah.
focus on what's in front of you, focus on your local community. That's often where you have the most impact, and then feel that impact in return. It turns into fulfillment and connection and purpose. And so, oftentimes we're trying to zoom out. And I think oftentimes with like the overwhelm of information in the world, it's like we got to zoom in and focus on what we can control and who we can actually impact today just by showing up.
Yeah, I think
It's
it's funny you
interesting.
mentioned that because it brings me, I often think like in my neighborhood, I pretty much only know maybe, I guess more than most, 10 people on either side of me, and then same across the street. But I mean, when I was growing up, and I don't know, you guys might be or late, but there were block parties. Like there were
Yeah.
on Saturdays or Sundays, the grills would come out and people would grill
Hmm.
out, and there'd be like people talking in the neighborhood, eating food from different places because people were cooking different style foods.
Hmm.
And I that wasn't, I mean, I'm from an area where you probably would think that would happen, but there's neighborhoods all over the US that used to do that,
Yeah.
where they would have the block parties, or there would be, the Sunday get-togethers, and everyone would have a nice, meal, community meal or whatever. And we got away from that. Everybody like
Yeah.
became recluses into their own homes and only cooked for
Yeah.
their family, and nobody
Oh,
went. When I was
yeah.
when I was probably 5 or 6, I used to go to the neighbors. I would make rounds like every weekend and I'd go feed the squirrels with the neighbor next to me, and go play with the trains with the neighbor next to me, and then go across the street and play with
Hmm.
their kids
Yeah.
and dogs. And I would like make the rounds. Nobody does that anymore, you
Yeah.
know?
And we were reflecting on that last night because we grew up next to each other. We were running to each other's houses all the time,
Yeah.
ding dong ditching each other. And it's funny because that neighborhood, my parents still live there, and they have been telling me that the neighborhood has started doing more community potlucks. They do almost a round robin where like a few houses
Yeah.
agree to host, apps on, and they go around and they get like 40 to 50 people. And my friend, he hosted his first neighborhood, like 50 people showed up. And it's just like people want this. People want spaces to connect. And oftentimes, not everyone has the drive or personality to lead or host something like that. And so it's great to recognize in yourself when you have that, quality of being a connector or a space provider. People want it. I just continue this message has been reflected to me over and over and over. I feel like increasingly this year is like people want in person, in real life time together.
Yeah,
Fascinating.
it's unfortunate. I think the one thing that forced us, sorry, Ralph, one of the things that forced us to kind of realize this is the fact that we were all forced to stay inside for 2 years,
Mhm.
So then we all got, wait a minute, this is ridiculous. I can't sit here in my house all the time.
Mhm.
So that made us yearn for the connections again, I think.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
So how do we bring this into our businesses? This, the dichotomy of, automate, use AI, and yet stay in touch, high tech and high touch. That seems to be something
Yeah.
that, we need to think about.
Mm.
I mean, that's
well,
actually a great question. The way that I've done it and the way that I kind of propose it to my clients is like, instead of sitting behind your computer managing all these things over that you do day in, day out, let the automation manage it so you can get out and work on your business, get out in the community, go to the different events, be active and reach out to other people and not worry about what's going on in your business. Take the vacation. It's the old adage like, do you really have a business if you can't step away from it for a month and it run itself? Like you want to be able to take and go do other things and advertise yourself, your brand, your business now in front of real people. I love going to live events, but it's hard for me to make time to go to all the live events that I want to because there's things that I have to do here on the computer in my office for clients, right? So kind of figuring out what that mix is a really cool way to use the automations and AI to let you step back from behind the screen and get out to some events.
Well, now you're taking a page out of my book, Philip. That's what I teach. Thank you. Yeah.
I think there's some value in also communicating with the clients, letting them have input in their
Yeah.
preferences. What are your communication preferences? What feels good for you? Helping them identify what they need and want and being transparent and, constantly open to feedback. And I just think to me in my business, it's very important to give my clients choice in every aspect. So I think, yeah, especially when it is more of the relational stuff that we might be automating, just,
Yeah.
making sure clients have a voice. Like, is this working for you? Letting them making a safe space for them to give feedback and offer their preferences to the degree that your systems can have that flexibility.
Yeah. A lot of times the ways that I get to meet my clients in person is when I travel because I don't have I don't think I have any local clients right now. So all of my clients are out of state or out of country. So the only time I get to meet them in person is if I can step away and actually travel somewhere to meet them. So
I shoot all of my videos in person. I spent $38,000 in 1 year on travel to do it because I'm a theater director and I do it in person. It's the art and craft of the creativity of us, working together. But all of the stuff that you're talking about, the social media and the AI and the social engineering, that's nothing new. First
yeah,
up is the Declaration of Independence. We're all going to be independent, right? The homesteaders go out to the homestead and they're independent. They don't need anybody else. This is there's no king, there's no monarch. I don't want your taxes, nothing. Then after World War II, the women all were during World War II. The women took the jobs because the men were fighting overseas. Well, the men come home and they go, we want the women to go back into the kitchen. So then they started making Leave It to Beaver and all the sitcoms and all the ones and da da da. And they also started to break up the nuclear family. Golden Girls, the grandparents are in Florida. Happy Days, the teenagers get their own cars and go this way and that. All that was engineered to help sell more televisions, houses, refrigerators, and cars by GE and RCA and Ford and all that. It was all engineering to break up the nuclear family. So in the 90s, which you'll remember this, the kids started moving back in with their parents, like around 92, 93. Oh my God, the economy is crashing, right? Well, they're not supposed to be. Go back to Little House on the Prairie, and everybody lived out on the prairie by themselves, in one family unit. Now, the Indian people that came to the United States from India that lived in Edison, the aunts, the uncles, the grandparents, they're all in one house. We're like, disgusting, right? But they were building their economy themselves. So as the economy and the inflation and the rent to wage ratio is now spreading even more, you're gonna see more of that. You see more of the families coming together and working together to make an economy and all that, because the independence doesn't work. I can order Uber Eats and just stay in my apartment.
Yeah.
And it's spooky. Like I could literally see
It's a weird dynamic to
never meet
look at.
anyone in person. But all my work is one person because it's an art, and art is something that always, the art will overpower all of this, right? Because it's our humanity and our need to interact that overpowers all the machines every time. There you go.
I think
Yeah,
there's
it's
also
just
room to integrate it into the professional relationships we create in our businesses as well. Thinking about the communal aspect, the virtual aspect. I've created several masterminds and groups. One today, we typically meet, it's a bunch of other female advisors. We all serve similar clients, but from different angles. And so, one of the ways to save time is like, well, let's all meet together and kind of form a pod. But every now we normally meet on Zoom, but we all do live in the Front Range Denver area, which was kind of happenstance. So, this morning we had an in-person breakfast and it was irreplaceable. I mean, just everyone was reflecting like it's just so nice. It's the energy's different, the ability to look in each other's eyes, like that is not possible on Zoom. And so we've decided to do an in-person meeting like every few months. And I think, I was also thinking to myself today, like, what would I do without Zoom? I could not go to all the meetings I have in a day in person. I just couldn't do it. So I'm really grateful for that. And so I think it's, again, the discernment, picking and choosing when it makes sense to cultivate those, find those opportunities to connect in person. And I think it can go beyond clients, but it can go to our other relationships that feed into our businesses as well to make an impact.
Yeah, 3D is always better than 2D.
Always. Mhm.
And that's been not just like from a like logical viewpoint, but it's been proven that 3D is better than 2D, right?
Well,
Um,
go work with someone on Zoom for 3 months and then go to their home to shoot the content. It's a trip because all of a sudden
right.
it's real. You know what I mean? It's been on the screen standing behind there, and then you're standing in the room where this stuff was. It's weird. It's cool.
You also can't see the full body on Zoom, and there's so much communication non-verbally. And so
Yeah,
we can only see
you can't
Yeah,
read the
talking
body
heads.
language.
they
Yeah,
have Zoom Fridays at work now, like live in person, where no one wears any pants.
Yeah, you
Sure
never
thing. I
know.
saw a meme
You
of
never
that.
know what we're wearing on the bottom, do you?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you never know.
exactly. Who knows? I think a lot of the masterminds that I've been part of started doing it's interesting to me because I've been in the tech space for so long and Microsoft has always done this, but they've started creating little chapters in some of the major cities and those chapters actually get together in real life
Hmm.
to meet, so these are masterminds that are like, I don't know, think of like a Tony Robbins mastermind or a Dan Martell mastermind, and then they have chapters in each city where they actually get together and meet. And
Yep.
sometimes the main person who runs the mastermind will actually go to each one of the cities and meet everybody in those individual groups. And it's fun for me to watch that because being part of like Microsoft's community as like a database developer and other programming developers, they've always had local chapters where you would go and you would get education and meet everybody in your area and network. And then you could always go to conferences and you would see all these people at the conferences. So it's kind of that same concept, but it's going out to the marketing world and other places that haven't traditionally done that. I think maybe in the past they might have, but it's something that wasn't widely advertised. Now everybody's really advertising, at least from what I see in what I look at on a day-to-day basis, which is nice because I think it's like you said, it's getting back to that community feel.
Mhm.
And somebody said the other day that communities are going to be the new thing anyway. It's like people are getting over all this individualism and they want to be part of a
Yeah.
community. So
We're human. That's what
yeah,
we do. It's how we've survived.
yeah, it's
Super-
but it's
Superman.
they say it like it's a revelation, like it's like
Yeah,
oh
new thing.
You said
Superman in the
earlier,
new movie says trusting people is a new punk rock. If you saw it, because Lois Lane says, "Well, I don't trust anybody," and you think everyone's a beautiful human being, and you trust everybody. She says the Superman, and he goes, "Well, maybe that's the new punk rock.
yeah,
Trust each other." We, flipped over. But there you go.
it's when I was a child, I never believed what my parents told me about everything cycles every 20 to 30 years.
hmm,
And now I've been able to see it.
Mhm.
And it's not just like clothing trends and stuff like that, but everything cycles.
Mhm.
It's just really, really weird. And no matter what new technology comes out or what, that's why with AI and automation, I'm not worried about, oh, it's going to take my job. I'm like more, no, how are you going to adapt to it and use it as a tool that helps you
Right.
through whatever change we're going through,
Mhm.
I think that goes by the zodiac sign. Like people that are good at leading other people and good at delegating will adapt to the AI doing things for them. But people that don't do that, that micromanage, that want to do that, they are not going to adapt so much into the automation and having the AI do it for them. It's going to go more by their personality type. If that
Mhm.
makes sense, than by anything else. 'Cause some people aren't going to use it at all, ever.
hmm.
Some people still do. My auto mechanic guy, he doesn't have an Instagram on his phone. He has nothing, none of it.
Yeah.
Doesn't hates technology, never used it,
Yeah.
doesn't like it.
Look, I'm a programmer. I've got a master's degree in software engineering and everything, and I never used social media other than entertainment factor until this past year.
It's videos of cats. That's all it's
It
for.
was all just entertainment. It was all
Mhm.
like, who's gonna post something stupid they did last weekend, or who's gonna post pictures from their vacation that nobody should see. It's like, and this year I'm like, okay, well, let me try this LinkedIn thing and see what it's about.
Hmm.
Mhm.
And then I'm like, okay, well, I guess I can use social media for business since it's all marketing stuff that I see anyway.
Right.
So
Right.
why not let's try that?
Yeah.
But still personal stuff, it's not really, I'm not oh, I woke up at 5 this morning and I took a walk and now I'm
I
making
know.
coffee and now I'm going to take a shower.
I know.
I don't
Doesn't make
chronicle my
sense.
life every
Yeah.
day on it.
But Phil, you said something earlier about mentioning travel. And I think
Mm.
that's one thing that we need to keep in mind too, is that in order to really understand other people and to broaden our perspectives, we need to travel. We need to get out
Yes.
there and meet people from all different cultures and see how the other parts of the world live. And
Mhm.
I've been in the travel industry my whole life. I got to tell you, I'm a little prejudiced, but
Mhm.
it's just the most phenomenal education. And I think that that's one way that we can keep in touch with
Mhm.
other people. And whether it's travel just for fun or whether it's traveling to, join another networking group and mastermind in person,
Mhm.
that's a great thing too.
Yeah.
So keep
Well,
that in mind.
I would implore people to travel not only more in their own country, but out of country
Oh yeah.
because
Absolutely.
there's so much that you like can discover and understand when you travel into another country. I mean,
Absolutely.
that's one thing that my wife really opened my eyes to is like traveling to France and Germany, different places in Europe, to Asia, to Latin America. I mean, it's just amazing the differences and the similarities that we all have. I
Well,
mean,
so
I can go to I can go to Cartagena, Colombia, and everybody's still in their phones, you know.
well, this is
But
true. But
people are a little bit nicer there. I mean,
There,
it's different nuances at different places. So
that's one of the things, that having the freedom to leave your business, as you were talking about earlier, is to be able to take a month-long vacation and travel
Yes.
to Europe or South America or Africa and spend some significant time there and really get to know the cultures. It's fabulous. I mean, my husband and I, that's our favorite pastime is traveling. And we've been to all 7 continents, and we can tell you stories about, some really unusual places in the world.
And there's so
Raul,
much history.
oh, sorry, I was going to ask a question, Raul. I think I agree with you wholeheartedly. And something that I hear and observe is people are a little bit slave to inertia right now. And I think because people are often in their bubbles, especially with like Zoom, working from home, um, they might want to get out, but they struggle to. You
Mm.
know, I'm seeing this, I'm hearing this where they're like, you can get stuck. You can get stuck in the bubble because it starts to feel comfortable and safe and then breaking out of it's the inertia factor. I guess, do you have anything to speak to that to help people like not, get over that hump of like
Oh yeah,
moving again and breaking out?
yeah, I think that's a real sort of, well, I call it kind of dangerous
Yeah.
to be stuck in your own little rut, if you
Yeah.
will. And I think, being willing to travel, like for example, the last 5 years, travel for a couple of years was pretty much shut down, but that really didn't stop us because that's who we are. So I mean, even the summer of 21, we were on a cruise and went all around Iceland, but we just didn't let it stop us. And I think that you have to find a little courage, perhaps, to get outside that comfort zone and experience something new, because that's how you broaden your mind. And
Mhm.
I believe in lifelong learning. I'm a Tony Robbins fan, and we've been to most of his programs. This last summer, we were in Fiji for 10 days or so doing a life and wealth mastery. That was totally eye-opening, and people from all over the world were participants in that. And so you not only learn about the Fiji culture, but you're learning about people from, Europe and Asia and all over the place. So I think it just broadens us, opens our minds. And I just, for me personally, that's important.
Yeah, I think one of the things that I'll say to that, Allie, is I had a big issue with finding the time to travel. Um,
Mm.
it's not that I didn't want to travel, but I felt like I couldn't travel because I was stuck doing something here, doing something there. What's going to happen if I travel for, like, I still to this day won't allow myself to take like 2 weeks and just travel. Um, but the way that I force myself to get out of that is number one, give myself a long weekend, maybe a Friday and a Monday,
Yeah.
where I know not a lot's going to happen. Um, and then go somewhere. And then if I have hesitation about traveling overseas or to another country, what I find is that once I'm on the plane and on the way, whatever that hesitation was goes away. And then I'm ready to enjoy it.
Mhm.
Um,
On the
You
but
you and I
yeah,
need to you and I
that was
need
a
to
real
talk some
thing.
more, Phil. We need to talk. I need to broaden your horizons. Taking time off from your company is important, and getting those systems and having a trusted team in
I
place
agree.
allows you to do that. And really, we are not meant to be slaves to our business. Didn't we create our own businesses so that we could have freedom? So why are you
Yeah.
allowing this business to trap you? You know?
Well, it's a cycle for me. I traveled freely for many years and then I got myself back into a locked in state, and then I'm kind of extricating myself from that now.
Yeah,
So
do it. Get out of that rut. Yeah.
so now, so there are people that just buy a Sprinter van and
yeah.
Yeah.
that's all they do. They don't own anything. They don't own a house. They don't rent an apartment. And there's a whole group of digital nomads who live cheap in a place called Bali, where you can live
Mm.
in luxury place for an eighth the cost of whatever. And that's the revolution that we might be going towards again, with the fact that the house that I grew up in New Jersey is now $900,000. Like I wouldn't, if I could afford it, I wouldn't buy a 50-year-old house. I'm just saying, it's 50 years old. And a mortgage is an engagement till death. That's what mortgage means. So the more they're putting pressure on all this, the 60s is alive. The kids that would be in the VW van, and just drive around and whatever, the rock bands or whatever. That's around. There are kids, there are young people that said, screw it, I don't want a part of that society. And they just travel. They have a laptop in their bag. They can get satellite internet, and they can work and live and be anywhere in the world.
You can get a little mini Starlink.
Yeah, that's the next
internet
revolution.
and just pack it in your suitcase and take it anywhere.
Yeah.
So one of the reasons why they're concerned about what Elon's doing is he wants to put the signal for this on satellite, meaning all the cell towers, Verizon, all that out of business.
Yep.
It's coming. So there's a war going on over this tech stuff, not just the AI.
I know we have Starlink here in Sitka, Alaska, and it's fabulous.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and I do see a lot of the van life stuff, and I mean, there's always been that kind of life, only it was in campers and bigger RVs. Now they've taken the vans so they can go more places and get kind of the same amenities. But yeah,
you can
it's
rent.
camping, it's glamping, it's camping with a van. I mean, you can
camping with camping with air
you can
conditioning.
get a tent. You can get a tent and a backpack and a couple of days worth of food and a cooler and go wherever.
No.
Have full freedom, right? But do you want to put up with the mosquitoes, the heat, the cold, the
You
weather?
can rent these Sprinter vans and drive around Iceland, drive around New Zealand. You can rent them in a lot of different places. Go to Norway, take a van, drive all the way up to the northern part of Norway.
Yeah, I follow a
satellite
guy
internet
on YouTube that just did all that.
and get satellite internet, Phil, and just keep on working.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we work from wherever. We were on a cruise to Antarctica. We had our laptops with us. We kept in touch. Same thing, earlier this summer, we went up to the Svalbard Islands, which are owned by Norway, but they're really off the northeast coast of Greenland. We were at the 80th latitude, 80 degrees north. That's just south of the North Pole. And we had internet. It was amazing.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and for me, so I used to do that a lot. How do I word this? The one thing that I got myself into is I have two clients that I can't do that with. So I can't travel and take everything with me. So everything has to remain stationary. So that's the only thing that locks me into that. As soon as these contracts are over, then that's two types of contracts that I won't ever get into again. But yeah, I used to do that all the time. People would look at me weird. They'd be like, "Why are you up at 5 o'clock in the morning?" "Well, I'm doing 2 hours of work and then we're gonna go play for the rest of the day."
Yay.
I would do that everywhere. I would get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, and whether I was in Las Vegas or whether I was somewhere else in skiing or wherever, and just do the 2 hours of work and then go play for the rest of the day.
I'm all for it.
Great.
It's wonderful. That's living the dream.
So yeah, it's not that I don't know how to do it. It's just that I got myself stuck in. It was a hindsight thing, and now I'm like, okay, well, let me finish these contracts, and then I'll be back to where I'm at.
Okay, I'll
Sometimes
check back with you.
I hope we don't lose the ability though to not have internet when we don't want it. Sometimes I think unplugging for real is a luxury at this point, and I love it. And so there are many times where I'm like, I don't want the internet. I don't want to connect right now.
Just close the top of the laptop, right?
It's more than that. I know an influencer that I went to London to meet the kids on Snapchat in 2016 because I want to see what they're doing. And Virginia Salas Casilio, what she does is she uninstalls them. Like she uninstalls Snapchat, she uninstalls whatever, Instagram, whatever, that's gone. And you can always reinstall it, log in, and be back. But in order to shut it off, she got to turn off his phone, because otherwise she turns off the phone and there's 700 notifications and all that kind of stuff. But to bring it full circle, I think the biggest way of crushing the chaos is personal development. And starting to live in more gratitude, don't be attached to the outcome, things from The Secret and all that. That with all this bombardment of what we're supposed to do and buy and all this kind of stuff, is to have that ability to just be in our own selves and realize everything is good, no one is to blame, and all those kind of things. And I think that's the ultimate thing. There's all this technology. We're talking about the technological advances, but we're also becoming more cognitive. Even in pop culture now, like meditation is a thing that everyone knows what that is now. More people know more advanced ways to work on themselves and to heal themselves and be better human beings than ever before. And that, I think, is the true crushing the chaos. 2 years from now, it'll be BI, and then it'll be CI, and then quantum computing coming, and then something else. There'll always be something with this tech, that is going to keep advancing and all that kind of stuff. But we have to stay centered in our own gratitude, and and find someone to love and be nice to each other and all that kind of stuff. And then the rest of it's all a bunch of BS.
I think you're bringing in the spirituality issue, because that's one thing that AI can't do for us. We have to be the masters of our own spirituality, whatever that is.
Well,
And
yeah, I mean, you call it spirituality, I call it personal development, but
it's both, yeah. And
people stopped going to church, and then came Tony Robbins. You understand? Which is the same. If you go there, it's all hysteria, like you're going to church. It's the same thing. But yeah, 100%. That's the solution. Is us using these tools to keep each other aware of what's going on, and not getting sucked into it. And right now, they've made our country into, well, I hate you because you think this way, and they did it deliberately. Just the way they engineered us to all separate and buy a television and then a computer and then this and that and have a cell phone signal. So there's a thing in Texas where they're inventing electricity. They say, oh, you're gonna have electricity in their home. And the Texas cowboy says, out on the range says, you're telling me that you're gonna force me to buy something that then I'm gonna become dependent on, that I don't need, that then I'm always gonna have to pay your bill. Nope. And that's been everything. Now we have this and streaming service and all this stuff to buy.
You said that, and it just reminded me that was the biggest, not lesson, but reminder.
Yeah.
Last year in October. So I live in Florida on the West Coast in the Tampa Bay, Clearwater area. And last year we had 3 hurricanes come through within 3 months. So August, there was a hurricane, not a lot of damage.
Yeah.
The end of September, there was a hurricane that flooded everything. And then in 2 weeks later, there was a hurricane that was like heavy force winds, so it really took down a lot of buildings and everything, and took the power down. So we were without power for probably 5 days. That makes you realize something, because then you're no longer, it's not a I want to unplug, it's a I've been unplugged and now I have to deal with this. And it's like, okay, what do you do after 6 when it gets dark and you don't have lights?
They were called candles, Phil. They've been around 10,000 years.
Headlamps.
Right. Because you
your
can't use a
headlamp out.
flashlight. You don't want to use your flashlight because you can't recharge it because you don't have any power. You don't want to use your phone because you can't
It's called
recharge
go
it.
to sleep, Phil. Just go to
Yeah.
sleep.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's like,
you
what
can't do
did
anything
people?
today.
It was really, really cool.
can't even watch Netflix, for God's sakes.
Yeah.
You have to get a book and read it.
Whenever the internet breaks, I do something amazing called going outside.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you sit outside, you talk, communicate with other people in real life, and you read a book if you want to. You light a candle and you play a board game.
We're forced to make
holy
decisions
moly.
for ourselves.
Wow.
That's what you're describing,
No,
right?
exactly.
You have to
I
choose.
You have to
refuse.
figure out what to do. You don't have a
Exactly.
computer tell you
Which
what
is
to
a
do.
good skill to practice.
Yeah. You have to
Making
create your
choice that
own
feels in
dopamine.
alignment with what we need and want, to Daryl's point, right? And to earlier, we talked about discernment and truth. That's the thing. Like, we have to practice understanding what truth and alignment feels like for us, and then practice acting in alignment with that inner guidance system and discernment. And
Yeah, let's say
being put in positions where we have to make choices for ourselves, think critically for ourselves. It's good. It's good practice.
one day AI, you console with it every day. Psychologically, you talk to it and it makes your food and you ask it every day, and then have that hurricane and watch these people go insane
Yeah.
and talk to their
Because
buddy.
none of that will be there because they're too dependent on it. I asked somebody I ask people all the time, it's like, how many phone numbers do you know if you put your phone down?
Yeah.
Like, could you even call your significant other?
Yeah.
Do you even know their phone number?
Can you
Like,
get to their room without Google Maps? Can you get
do
to
you
Yeah.
remember your parents' phone numbers? Like when I was a kid, I probably remembered 50 phone numbers
Oh
in
yeah,
my head.
remember
I
them.
could
Yeah.
speed dial these friends, you know?
Yeah, now I think I memorized like maybe 3.
Yeah, I know probably 5 phone numbers.
Yeah,
And
and
that's usually more than most people. Most people are like maybe 2.
I think I'm around
So
5 too, if I think about it.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's crazy because we depend completely on the phone. The other thing is, when's the last time you took out a Rand McNally map and tried to figure out which way you were going when you were driving somewhere?
Yeah.
we used to
My
have the
parents still
map.
do that. They love it. They love an atlas.
Paper map?
Yeah. Oh, they love it. They love it. Yeah.
The big map that
The
like you
big
used to get from
books.
like State Farm or
Yeah.
whatever. Right?
Oh,
Yeah. They
I
love it.
remember
They love it.
a long time ago, I wandered around Europe for 6 weeks, and all I had were paper maps and, subways and so forth. I had no cell phone.
Yeah,
It's amazing. I lived.
Yeah.
I came
yeah,
back.
it's incredible. You
Yes.
got lost, you just looked at the map and okay, well, made a mistake there. You go back and you do it again, you know?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Now, you know,
take a young person and the sun is setting and tell them to face east and see if they can figure it out.
yeah,
All right? I don't know that's west. Anyway.
Yeah, that's
Have
sad.
you
those are the things
experienced
we
that?
forget.
Have
What's
you
that?
experienced that, Daryl? Is that like
Uh-huh.
a true, is that a true story?
No, I just made it up, but I just thought that was funny. Like if you take a young kid and
So,
put them outside
so,
and the sun is setting and they can't check on their phone where Google Maps is, would they know that that's west?
Yeah, I
so
would.
I had an
Would they know that's
experience
west?
like that, Allie. I had somebody want to wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning to go see the sunrise. I'm on the west coast of Florida. I live by the beach,
Mhm.
but you can't see
Facing
the
west.
sunrise from my beach. You can only see the sunset
Yeah.
Yeah.
because it's the west.
Okay, well,
You
And I was
and
like, okay, you're on the wrong side
can
of the
see the
state to see the
sunrise still,
sunrise.
just not over the sand.
it
Yeah, you can
depends.
see, you can't see it rise over the water, right?
I
You
think you
can
need
see
to spend more time
rise.
outdoors, Phil.
And in Alaska, where I live, in the summertime, the sun sets more in the north.
Oh,
Oh, yeah,
interesting.
it doesn't set,
Wow.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or it spins around
And
depending on
and
what
in
time of the year,
in the
right?
wintertime, it's setting more in the south.
Oh,
But
that's
and
interesting.
then further way north in Alaska, it doesn't set at all for a few days, and it doesn't rise at all for a few days. That's way, way, way north.
Wow.
The two inventions that killed our dependence on nature are the wristwatch. It's 1 o'clock. We know that that's 1 o'clock. That has nothing to do with nature.
Mhm.
And the electric light bulb, because now we can work all night and day. We don't. It's daytime. It's light whenever we want. It's dark whenever we want. So now we're not dependent on nature anymore in the seasons,
Mm.
right? And then you wonder about spirituality. Well, we don't. We're not depend. We're not. We made our own. We are the gods of our own time and day and night.
Mm.
Now I'm getting super, super, super,
Yeah, that's
super out there, right?
ooh, yeah.
But these are the things that shifted. The phonograph and the record. Right now, I can record it once, and everybody can have a different experience with the same, moment that happened in time. That was impossible 100 something years ago, right? Something like happened once. Before that, there was orality. Now, orality is I tell you a story, and you go to court and you say he said this, and that's admissible in court because he said it. Well, then we learn how to write things down. Well, now if it's not written down, it's not true. And if we say if he said that, we say no, that's hearsay. That's not admissible in court. So what happened to our trust in each other as we progressed in technology? And that's just going from into literacy.
And
Lost
now
trust.
you can't necessarily trust anything that's written down because anybody can write something.
Now the AI can make videos. So now you know what I mean? And we keep going into this, into this thing of the land of make believe and all that. So
It's just fun to watch because the deeper you get into the conversation, like I said before, the more you realize that connection and communication is most important.
yeah,
Because then that allows you to discern what is
and
what
pick
is
up the phone.
real.
Yeah. And pick
Yeah.
up the phone, what these kids won't do. And in texting,
I mean, talk.
you can't hear my tone of voice. And that's all they want to do is text.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm going, you're misinterpreting me. You know what I mean? I got to talk to you on the phone, but anyway.
Yeah. Heaven forbid you actually put caps lock on and type something and you're yelling.
Oh
So-
yeah. Oh God, I hate that.
I put 3 exclamation points on everything, but that's another story.
But I had somebody ask me why I was putting a period and 2 spaces after my sentences. And I'm like,
I
okay,
can't stop
really?
with I can't stop putting 2 spaces afterward. I don't care if it's not the
I-
trend. I
We're
don't care.
going
I
back.
got
that
typing
gospel?
class drilled into me way too much
I
to do
know.
Period, 2 spaces.
I
Right.
know.
Going
It's
backwards.
easier to read when there's 2 spaces.
It's
Forget
automatic for me.
I
We're
know.
going backwards to emojis. We're going back to hieroglyphics. They don't even use words. This hieroglyphics.
Yeah.
Going back 5,000 years, thanks to tech.
Some of the
They understand it. They have
high
their
school
own
kids-
language.
Some of the high school kids do have their own language.
They have
They've
their
got,
own language.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Each other. Yep.
Mm.
It's
Well,
it's
I tell you, part of my
fun to
family
be
is,
the observer.
I have a daughter and her family live in Australia, and thank God for FaceTime. Because during COVID, our youngest grandchild was born like November of 2020, and we couldn't get into the country, so we couldn't meet her till she was 14 months old. But thank goodness we had FaceTime, so we could, we could kind of see her. Not the same as holding her and hugging her, but yeah.
Nice. Well, I'm going to go ahead and let everybody go. I think there's only one person. Yolanda's hung with us for a while. Thank you, Yolanda. I'm going to go ahead and, unless you guys have anything you want to close out with, I know.
So I think we should say what our final thing is about crushing the chaos. For me, it's don't just go buy this AI stuff. Because right now in marketing, it's like they're saying like if you don't adapt to AI, your business will be over. That's bullshit. Don't believe it. You don't have to do it if you need it, but you don't have to,
It's a tool.
It's a
It
tool.
is like an
You need it,
assistant, a
great.
tool.
Don't use it. It doesn't matter.
It's
Mm.
like the
That's my
hammer to build a house, right? You're not going to drive a nail with your hand.
Allie, what's your conclusion of crushing the chaos?
My conclusion of crushing the chaos, it's going to come back to the theme I've been coming back to is the discernment. It's good to gather information. It's good to expose yourself to other perspectives, strategies. What are other people doing? But just realize when you're taking in the way other people do it and don't let that replace your own time to then check in with yourself and just again discern what do you really need, what's most important to you, what is going to feel aligned. When we start making decisions that are out of alignment with what we really need and value, that's when we get in trouble, and then we're going to have to fix things later. And so you were personal development, spirituality, discernment, we're all basically saying the same thing. And so it's just don't find ways to connect with your inner self and cultivate a positive, healthy relationship with your inner voice so that you can discern what you feel and need, and then go seek out those resources.
Okay, Ray, what's yours?
Beautiful. Yeah. Well, I think getting back to just, what is it that you really love to do? I liked everything that Allie said, but try to get the chaos out of your own life by using tools, building a team, delegate, create systems, use automation to help you, not to replace you, but to help you, and find a way to really live the life that you want to live. I think that's so important. I don't believe in being stuck or being owned by our businesses. That we need to build a business that supports the life that we want. And that's how to get out of chaos so that you can go do the things that you really love to do.
And Phil, what's yours?
For me, I mean, crushing the chaos is allowing yourself to be free again, understanding who you are, understanding who's around you, reconnecting with the community. Kind of, I guess I can put it in like, stop trying to do everything by yourself and lean on others to help you if you don't know how to do it. And part of that leaning on others to help you is leaning on others to help you to get things done that you may not be able to do as fast, as good, as graceful as you can,
Yeah.
which is making you feel chaotic inside.
Mhm.
There's a plethora of people out there that can help you figure out how to do things faster, smarter, better. Use it. You know, we don't have to be stuck in our houses, stuck in our offices, stuck behind a computer and do everything ourselves. And I think automation and AI just helps us do things faster, better, and easier so that we can get out and connect with other people.
In other words, it has nothing to do with a robot. The end.
No, nothing.
That's cool. All right, guys. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you.
everybody. Appreciate you joining.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Have a great rest of your day.
You too.
Great combo.